I want to get better at building, so I decided to spin a wheel that picks a random theme. Then I gave myself 24 hours to build as much as I could. It ended up landing on steampunk, so I hopped in a super flat world and got to work. At first, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just laid out some basic shapes and planned out future pipes or gadgets using orange and blue wool. I built everything else with one brown block so I could come back later and texture it properly once I had a better idea of what I was doing. As I kept going, I started adding random pipes, vents, and mechanical looking sections. Most of it doesn't make any sense at all, but it looked cool, so I just kept on going. Eventually I moved to the side and the back of the build where I focused on cramming in as much detail as I could, adding depth by carving out shapes, adding ledges, and literally anything else to make the walls look less flat. I realized I actually ended up putting more detail into the back of this thing than I did in the front, so I went back and added more clutter in the front, and also reworked the left tower to match the style. After that, I jumped into the coloring phase. I set up a block palette to work with, then I swapped all the brown blocks for pink wool so I could easily see what needed texturing, and then I used a mod called Axiom to start painting. I went for a rusty, gritty looking palette using orange, gray, black, and brown, and I heavily focused on lighting, meaning I placed darker blocks where shadows would show up if the sun was coming from like the top right of the build. This phase definitely pulled everything together and made it feel more like an actual build instead of a brown blob. Towards the end, I finished detailing the bridge and the tower, going for a dark gray look with the brown metal color at the top. I added more texture to the pipes, even though some of it made literally zero sense. Then I fixed up the crane at the top and added a gear, which is the only one in the entire build for some reason. But in the final stretch, I added some red tanks, more vents, and a bunch more copper pipes on the backside. Some of it I wasn't totally happy with, but with 2 hours left on the timer, I wrapped it all up and finished the build. Let me know how I did in the comments and what I should build next.